Right, hello and welcome to the first podcast on the Spaghetti Tree channel. I can't speak. I'm Mango.
And I'm Flub.
Just should probably say that they aren't our real names. We're both called Sam. It just makes it easier. But in this podcast, we're mainly going to be focused upon discussing things to do with different types of media, more specifically writing and filmmaking.
But for this one in particular, we're going to do something a little bit different, as we've just sort of started up Spaghetti Tree. So we want to discuss something we've both really had to learn to do. As you've probably sort of read in the title of the podcast itself, we're going to be talking about how to learning to be sort of productive.
Which, honestly, I don't think we're going to end up talking about a lot. I think we're going to go on a lot of tangents. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll actually have the first few podcasts on something that isn't directly related to writing or films, but sort of relates to them in an indirect way. So, for example, you need to learn to be productive before you can start to properly improve yourself in either of those things. And since we've started down this road and trying to get involved in the world of media, whilst we're still young and don't have the obligations of children, full-time job, we've got to learn how to become more productive whilst also juggling education, part-time jobs, friendships, relationships, and all that kind of stuff.
So, anyway, so let's start us off. Why don't we start with you and how you got to start getting more done, basically.
Right, it's a bit of it's very complicated. I think there's a lot. So at university, I had to do a thing where me and another group had to present a seminar, which was interesting. It's the first time I ever had to do something like that, and talking in front of people as well. I wasn't very good at, but I think I sort of actually enjoyed it because it wasn't a case of it wasn't a case of having to sort of. We could do what we wanted in a way. We could do other, we could research our own stuff. We didn't have our hand held for us the entire time. And, some things went wrong, definitely. One of the members of our group didn't do that much, but that's always going to happen. One of, we told our lecturer what we wanted to do, what we wanted to cover, and then she went and covered it in the pre-recorded lecture, which meant that everything we planned to do, that the recorded lecture that got released about 3 days before we had to do it, just covered everything we wanted to do anyway. So that was, difficult. But, the sort of sense of getting it done on your own was really interesting, I thought. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed sort of becoming more productive in a way that I hadn't before. I hadn't sort of, I hadn't needed to, so I hadn't had that sort of thing forced upon me in a way. But I enjoyed it. And then another thing as well was sort of a bit motivational was, do you remember that house competition we looked at, that £3.5 million house competition that we would never win?
Yeah, that you would never win in a million years.
But it's one of these things where it was late, it was stupid late. I don't know what time we stayed up till,
4 in the morning.
It's somewhat stupid. And but we were just talking about what we'd do with it, what we would do with this room and all that kind of stuff. And it's a bit of a boost in a way, because even though that's like a far end goal, right? And it's also, perhaps a little bit greedy in a way, because, everyone wants a millionaire's house. Is it the best thing to try and, aim for? Something that's just, just for you? Maybe you want a more fulfilling goal, but, it's still nice to dream about. Just having that chat about, you were going, I'd have a cinema room. Nah, don't bother the cinema room. Make a Warhammer room or something like that. And just talking about gutting bedrooms because nobody, I don't want anybody sleeping around my house. I'm playing Warhammer. Do you know what I mean? So, it was a nice conversation to chat about and sort of a direction to head in. Even if there's a chance that we'd never get there, it's always, something to aim for. And I think as well, it's also to do with where I work. So I work in a small shop, so you get to know people coming in a little bit. And there was one guy who came in, who was he was a painter. He was painting all of the tills and checkouts and all that kind of stuff. And he said that he had his own sort of issues before when he was younger. He didn't mess around in school and all that kind of stuff. And all, he messed around in school, didn't do particularly well there. He went out partying, drinking most nights, did lots of drugs. But in the end, he says that whilst his mates were still doing that, he sort of had the motivation to push through that, and now he's got his own business with, he told me he's got a really nice house, he's got wife and kids, whilst all of his mates are still, struggling. They don't have that much, and it's, they're still doing drugs and all that kind of stuff. And in a way, I just sort of found that inspiring, I suppose, to speak to somebody who, by the sounds of it, didn't get off to the best starts in life. Now, I'm not saying, I'm in a way quite privileged more than other people, but just to speak to somebody who did struggle and who still made something of himself, it makes me want to make something of myself as well. And, I want to do something that I enjoy. And this is it. Whilst we're young, we can try and build something like we're doing now. Whether or not it'll go anywhere, I don't know. But it's something that I enjoy doing, and hopefully that end goal later down the line is what is, keeping me going, I think.
Yeah. Who dares who wins?
Yeah. I'm not going to join the SAS. I'm too much of a coward for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hate pain, I hate fighting, but yeah, who dares wins?
Who will win? I don't think it's like just military stuff. I think that applies to anything.
Yeah.
You got to go for those opportunities, because if you don't go for those opportunities, you go for those doors, open those doors, then you're just going to be in the same place you were years ago.
I mean, I think that we sort of owe it to ourselves as people to always try and push harder and be the best person that we can. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you just sort of want to, sit down and do nothing. That's fine, but you should always push yourself, I think, because we've all got ambitions and goals, and the most we can do for ourselves is to keep trying to reach those goals. There's no point having a dream if it's, you're just going to leave it at that and go, oh, that'd be nice. Anyway, I'm going to carry on doing something that I don't enjoy. Obviously, some people are in the situation where they have to do that.
Unfortunately.
But I think, unfortunately, but it's simply just, if you can, try and go for it. And right now, we can try and go for it. So why not?
Yeah. We've got that privilege, so use that privilege while we have it.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the end, all that motivated me to work harder, to plan more, and just be smarter, try and be smarter in general, I suppose. It's financially, educationally, sort of all that kind of stuff. And it made me want to start planning and setting up Spaghetti Tree. Because I wanted to head towards that life where I can do what I love. I mean, we'd spoken about doing something to do with different types of media and call it Spaghetti Tree before, hadn't we?
Fucking did that loads. The amount of late night calls where we just talk we want to do this, and this is sort of our angle. We talked about it, and now though, this is it. This is these are the sort of starting stepping stones, I suppose, and it is actually quite what's the word?
Exciting, isn't it?
Exciting, yeah, exciting, because doing these sort of things where I've been editing videos and then just recording this in general, just sitting here recording this, despite the fact at the moment it seems as nothing, it's just an audio recording, it is the first stepping stones. I'm kind of exhilarated, I'll be completely honest with you, because I'm excited to see where this is essentially me opening that door, right? This is us opening that door, right? And we're stepping through. We don't know what's going to happen on the other side of it. Anything can happen, but it's exciting to say the least. Potentially do something truly awesome with my life, I suppose. In the way, this is sort of it.
And we'll talk about that more later. But I think if we want to talk about now, sort of how we ended up doing it. So we never spoke about Spaghetti Tree in that much detail, I suppose, did we?
No.
We spoke about things we wanted to do. We wanted to have our own series that we've been talking about that's animated. It'd be cool if we did something with games maybe, we could write this, and because I enjoy doing books. If you were to do a series, I could do a prequel.
Yeah.
There's some books, but we never really went into that much detail about it. We never thought that we'd set it up too soon. The initial plan, wasn't it, was that you would get yourself established in some sort of media company. Probably, I don't know, by the time you're 30, then you might be able to set up your own thing or do something of your own and have built up that reputation. But we sort of thought, maybe that's a story for another time, I'm not too sure, because it is quite a bit of an in-depth thing of how we spoke about it and we went back and forth. But at the end of the day, what we essentially thought was, why would we bother waiting for you to do something that's big, or for me to do something that's big? Why would we wait? Why would we just start it now? Because, I mean, you know, in the future there's going to be so many more people who are trying to do stuff, and if we can give ourselves a head start, or even just something to, you know, take up our time, then that's the best thing for it. We're getting practice, and we can start now instead of wasting, you know, instead of messing about later, waiting for an opportunity to come to us. If we can make the opportunity, you know, that was what made me really want to try and be more productive, because if we can make the opportunity now, then I've got to up my game of being productive, but I'm enjoying it, so it's sort of a win-win situation. I think that's sort of the loose story for how I discovered my motivation. So, you know, tell me about yours briefly.
Be honest, it goes back fucking sort of miles. I wouldn't say it's like a motivation that's been like constant. It's sort of like ramped up over time, I suppose, would be the better way to say it. Like, it's something that's been in the back of my mind, and it's slowly but surely grown into like a proper motivation of what I want to do. Like, back when, like, as long as I can fucking remember, right, I've always wanted to do something like media based. Like, I've always loved like film, games, TV shows, all that sort of thing. And I think what I love about those sort of things is like just the stories that are told in the world. You can sort of like you can explore through those different types of media. So at the end of the day, my sort of motivation at its like a basic level is I just want to tell stories in different types of media, right? I just want to be able to put the ideas that I get in my head, these awesome ideas where I think they're awesome, I can't say they actually are, but these ideas onto some sort of like, just some sort of outlet, right? An outlet for storytelling. And while I would love to explore like comics or books or like games, I don't think I've got the exact sort of like skill set at the moment for that. But filmmaking, right now, in my certain position, filmmaking is that sort of outlet.
Yeah, and that's always the thing you've spoken to me, is that filmmaking's or making some sort of, well, not necessarily a film, but it could be a series, something like that, right? A visual, I don't know what you call that, I don't know enough about it, a visual video format of a story. Yeah. Every time we've spoken about it, that's always been top of your list to do, hasn't it? Always.
Yeah. Literally always. Fucking, for as long as I remember, I'd watch like just movies, and I'd be obsessed with like the fucking worlds they're in. And so I remember, I think it was like, I don't know, one of the first like sort of things that I properly like sort of started to do something, but like, I'm gonna be honest, it was like writing down like notes on like a piece of paper. It wasn't anything too sort of big, but like the first, I think it was like in a science lesson, right?
Yeah.
I was like writing down notes for like a character that sort of like the series.
You should have been focusing.
Yeah, I should have been probably focusing in science. I'll be honest. I admittedly wasn't very good in school. I have to admit.
Everyone hated science. I mean, how can you sit through that for so long? I got kicked out for setting a pencil on fire.
I'll be honest. The only reason I even probably didn't pay attention is because I had fucking Mr. So I hated that man so much. But
we should probably bleep out his name when we come to it.
Probably a teacher, the certain teacher at school.
Yeah. That'll do.
But like, I can't even remember what I fucking talk about now. Oh god.
You were saying about just writing down stuff in science.
All right, yeah. So what has sort of become, I feel like this sort of idea that I wrote is sort of eventually sort of become this motivation as well, I suppose. So I was like writing down just like, not exactly anything too concrete, but just a basic outline of what I wanted to do. I was really into fucking superheroes, so that was what I was probably writing down at the time. And it sort of just, that has motivated me as I've sort of like refined things within that story.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just in a similar sort of thing myself, where I always loved Warhammer, and in my sort of, when I was a kid, I always used to read loads, and I sort of stopped for a little bit, but then as I started reading more again in secondary school, the only thing I ever read was Warhammer, and it's pretty much just Dan Abnett's Going to Go series. So that has been a massive sort of influential part of my writing style. But I get what you mean, where I just spend time planning out sort of, not necessarily to do with a story, whereas I would write bits of stories and give up in certain points, but it would always be something to do with the background story of my army, or something like that, where it might not necessarily be the start of a novel or a book or whatever. Whereas I did try that, and crap, no one's ever going to read them. I've been very sure of that. But
oh god,
it was always to, this is what this company does, and this is what this platoon does, and all that kind of stuff, and why they do this, and why the character might have a certain, issue with another race or something like that. Race is in alien race. Make that clear.
Just specify that.
That came out a bit wrong. Why they might struggle to, why they might hate orcs more than Tyranids, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. At school, just spending time when you probably shouldn't have been. Making up stuff that you want to tell a story and some sort of narrative.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the base level was just like writing the name of a character. Again, like I said, superheroes was sort of the thing I was into, so I was writing. I think it was in a the school planners we had. It was in one of those. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like in the notes section. Yeah. I never used it for its right purpose. I just used it for any odd stuff I could think of. I just wanted to, I'd probably either like doodle in that or just like write down ideas. Thinking back on it now, I was not the best student at all.
Well, to be fair though, no one ever used it. I don't think I ever did homework from about year 9 onwards, unless they had a go at me and told me to do it. But after class, I genuinely cannot remember a single piece of homework I handed out in after. So I never used those planners. Like, what's the point? Although, what's the point? Yeah, I suppose to get an education, probably quite important. But,
to be honest, I'd probably second that. Maybe a little bit earlier than that, probably around a year 8. Probably this would be for me.
Never did homework.
I never did homework. I always got in trouble for it. In particular, I remember we'd have this maths thing. I don't know if you had it. No, you probably did. Obviously you had it. I don't remember that. The maths thing, we had to do like online tasks, right?
Oh,
it was like a quota you had to meet.
I got our mate Indy to he hacked into it because he's good at computers and he just cheated for me. or my internet went down. Oh no, I just forgot to press submit, sir. I promise. I just didn't press submit. I'll do it later. Come on, Indy, sort it out for me.
I think it was around. We did like around year. It was around year 9. We did that, right? That started doing that sort of thing.
I don't know. I don't care.
I think it was year 9.
I can't do maths. I've got good with words. Can't do numbers.
I second that. I mean, I'm not the best with words, but I'm much better than I am at maths. I think at that point, I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but I think at that point, I just didn't care. Like, honestly, the whole task to me, it didn't make sense. Like, I did it once or twice, and I remember just being like, this to me, in my teenage brain, was probably the wrong way of thinking it. Like, this is useless to me, and I just didn't care. Every time my teacher would tell me off, I'd just be like, no. I
mean, I've never really had to use numbers. I think we're a bit off topic, so let's go back to the little notes we've made. Where were we? So how do you think sort of becoming more productive and trying to make those stories into something real instead of just little doodles in the back of your school book? Personally, I found myself feeling a lot happier and feeling a lot more fulfilled, which I'd like to. I think those are two completely separate things. I think happiness is something that's sort of temporary, but fulfillment is something that's deeper and makes you motivated more. But how would you say that becoming more productive has impacted you, sort of in a more general sense?
Like you said already, it's like you're about making you feel happier. I'll be honest, I feel a lot more happier. I feel like I'm in a lot more of a position where I've got, like, not to get like cliche and a bit cringy, I'll be honest, I felt I had no like directional purpose. Like I was just going to be like the fucking like lazy kid. I wouldn't achieve anything, basically. Bit depressing, admittedly, but I felt I didn't have anything, and I wanted to tell sort of stories like this, what I've been talking about, sorry, hold on. I've lost my train of thought. Hold on. Like I said, I felt like I didn't really have any directional purpose, and being able to tell sort of stories, I'll be honest, helped me realise that sort of purpose. Right, it made me feel a lot more fulfilled. Like,
I'd say like some people draw, some people paint is a creative outlet, but I think for me and for you, it's much more sort of telling that story. Now, we do it in different mediums. I do it through more sort of prose fiction and writing, but yours is filmmaking and writing scripts for that kind of stuff. But it's still, telling the story is the creative outlet and creating that world within which our characters live and exist in, trying to create like a living, breathing world. Now, that's sort of our creative outlet. Where some people like to sit down and paint, and it de-stresses them and whatever. Then that's similar for us, and it's because it's we potentially could turn it into something that we spend our lives doing. That sort of is our purpose. I'm in a similar situation, I suppose, where I obviously work a part-time job at the minute in a shop, but can't say I enjoy it that much. I enjoy the people I'm with. I don't necessarily enjoy the work, but I want to, doing something like Spaghetti Tree. I think I'd obviously enjoy the people that I'm working with, because I'm working with you. I'm working with Ollie, who's helped out with a few things, and I'll probably be getting involved more, and we'll probably get him on one of these podcasts at some point.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah, and but I want to also enjoy the work and sit down and writing and creating stuff and problem solving, like I was talking about with doing the seminar before. That is something that I find quite exciting in a really boring, nerdy way. But if you're probably watching this, you understand exactly what I'm trying to say. So I think it's similar. I really can't see myself in a sort of normal job. I just wouldn't enjoy it. So as I've got the opportunity now, I might end up having to work 9 till 5 doing a job that I don't really enjoy, but I've got the opportunity now to try and just make that not such a try and mitigate that a little bit and try and do something I really enjoy. Now, like, this might all completely fail through. About 3 people will watch this, and that'll be me clicking on the video twice by accident, and it'll be you when you upload it. But it's still a shot we've tried to take, I think.
Yeah, and I think at that point, even if, like, say, it falls through, you can at least go on with your life happy that you at least tried, right? I feel like for a lot of people that maybe they didn't like, for those people that maybe they didn't happen, they at least went out of their way to try, and they can at least reminisce the fact that, okay, it didn't happen, that's fair enough. At least I tried, at least I wasn't there living with like my whole of my life regretting that, I just didn't take that opportunity that I could potentially I think at that point that's very important, actually.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's even more a bit of a sense of achievement if it does get anywhere, right? Because we're the ones who've done it. It's not like I've worked at a job and I've spent 10 years there and I'm now a manager. Obviously, it's going to be longer, to get to a manager position. But I spent years there and I'm now a manager. I'm really proud of myself. But in my sort of eyes, I still think that doing that, you're working for somebody else. You're still working for the larger company. Yeah, I'm sort of. In some ways I am, some ways I'm not, sort of self-motivating. If I'm doing something for myself, I want to do it more because, in my own... Well, I probably shouldn't say that about my own current job, but I suppose, especially I was a pot washer for a little bit, and I hated that. No one likes pot washing. But I still felt that, people were rushing me to, get this done, but what's the point? Because, I'm still sort of... You're still paying me nothing. You're not giving me much motivation to carry on. You're all swearing and shouting at each other. What is my motivation to go faster than I already can if you're still going to have a go at me because it's not good enough? I'd rather go away and do something on my own and enjoy it. And, that's perhaps not a very good mindset to be in if it is, that I'm going to have to work for somebody else later on. But I think it, hopefully will give me a bit of a push when it comes to doing Spaghetti Tree stuff, because I don't have anybody else to sort of work for. I'm working sort of for myself and for my own future, and that is motivation enough to make me want to try and put in lots of effort.
Agreed.
Yeah, so it's that sort of end goal that is really important to me.
Much like you've already sort of said, like, having an end goal has definitely made me very much happy. Like, we've just tread upon that, and it really gives you that sort of sense of like a purpose to sort of strive for.
Yeah.
And to be honest, while I wouldn't say I'm making excellent progress to sort of we've started a year, and I'm not exactly the most productive people. I need to work on it. Again, my editors. Yeah, I mean everyone does. So I don't think anyone can be perfect at the production. Well, being productive, sorry, not production, but being productive. But I feel like as long as you're trying to at least every day sort of make yourself better.
Yeah, it's you can never... I said, it's about owing it to yourself, I think.
Yeah. But like again, I feel like I've definitely made a lot more like excellent progress, sort of that end goal. Like just even if it is the minuscule thing, like I've just edited one video. Like yeah, it's kind of mean to say that this video is very minuscule, but like at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small part of it, and I've done at least that much. Like
Yeah.
I've definitely I've done something right with my time. I've been more productive with my time, and so I'm definitely getting a lot better because before, like I probably we were going trend on like the same sort of ground again. Like I talk about how I was really lazy in fucking school. Like I wasn't doing the work, and I'd usually procrastinate a lot on the work. Like I struggled in college, I procrastinated quite a lot, but I eventually got there. My second year, I'm getting there. I'm getting better, and especially now that I've moved away from home, I'm in my own like sort of accommodation. I'm going at uni. Uni is again definitely put a lot of sort of perspective into like I need to sort of like keep pushing on and being more productive and get as much done as possible, because I'll be honest, being set all these tasks and sort of like the different ways, like nothing's like spoon fed to you. Like in college and school, nothing's spoon fed to you. It's all up to you to be the productive one and take in what's been said, and then you like do something with that basically. Like
Uni's a hell of a lot different, isn't it, from anything that we've done before? Like you're a year behind me because you've changed college courses.
Yeah.
So I'm in my second year of university now, and compared to anything that came before, like I went to sixth form instead of college. Yeah, it's more difficult than secondary school, sure. But it's university it's just that next step up where you pick a subject that you enjoy, and you have to enjoy it because you're going to be doing so much about it.
I wouldn't even say it's the next step though. I'd say it's like the next 4 steps. It's insane.
Yeah,
because like so much more. Give an example of what I sort of mean is I've done like one like sort of lecture on treatment based, like a proper lecture. I've done like technically a bit where we talked about it. There's certain thing of treatment. We're doing like a treatment on music videos, right? I've done a little bit on it basically. I've done one full lecture, and even then I don't think I really got enough information. Now, tomorrow, which I've already started the task, but like it's like I've got a lot to do still. I've got to do a full on treatment of a music video, and I'm going to have to like go out my way to look at treatments, right? Because the lecture's not enough to sort of understand. I've got an idea what a treatment is, but I haven't got enough of the this sort of treatment, this sort of things you need to look for, that sort of thing. Like I've got to pick a song for a music video. I've got to make sure it's not got a music video already for that song, and then I've got to create a whole treatment, which essentially I've got to, I don't know, talk about why. Like, essentially, it's a pitch. Think of like an elevator pitch, but like a bigger scale, a whole treatment. I've got to send them a document of like, this is the sort of thing that we can do with your music. Yeah, I've seen this is the sort of like style you're going for and that sort of thing. Like
a synopsis almost.
A synopsis.
A bit of an overview of why and how. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess why and how. Like why you want this, like why you think you'd be good for the project, and how you'd go about it. Basically, I guess that's a perfect example. One thing I don't think you have to usually do in a treatment. I could be completely wrong again. I'm still sort of like understanding what a treatment is in particular this treatment that I've got to do. I've got to talk about I've been given a 10 grand budget. It's not a real music that'll ever be made, but I've been given a 10 grand budget. And I've got to like talk about all the things that'll be used within that budget on the music video. So I've got to talk about cameras. So I've got to look at cameras, like look at what the average price of these certain cameras and what I need, like microphone, equipment, costumes, locations. Like I've got to do a fuck ton. Pardon the French, I know I've been swearing a lot.
A metric fuck ton.
A metric fuck ton, right? I've researched, and I've got to get it all done for Friday. And I've only been given like a day or so, like a day or so to get it done, basically. And to be honest, I understand why they're doing it. Yeah, uni's like fast, but the reason I think they've done it sort of like this is because when you get given a brief to sort of give a treatment to it, you got to have a 1 to 2 day turnaround on that. Like you have to get on it because there's like it's competitive, it's cutthroat. Yeah. Right, you got like hundreds of other like directors that want to get on this, and they're given their own treatment. So you got to make sure you like as soon as you get basically like within a couple minutes of getting that email, you have to be on it because if you're not on it, you're not going to get the job, right? I mean, you're not going to get it.
There is no other motivator like stress, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think if you're given a long deadline, in my first year, not only was it the same for me, I was a bit better, but there's other people in my class who literally did an essay 3 hours before it was in for a 2,000 word essay. it wasn't good. They completely scraped it through, and I don't want to go slagging people off, but obviously in that final 3 hours they were under so much stress to get it done. It was done, and I think that's part of learning to be productive as well, is knowing that you have a small amount of time to do something and making the most of that time and doing something as good as you can. Like, I've got my own project to do, so it's basically a mini dissertation, 3,500 words, and I've got until May to do it. It's currently start of October when we're recording this. I don't know when it's going to go out. It might be a while, but I've got months to do it, and I've picked my topic, and it's essentially 1945 to 1965, the history of, not the entire history but sort of like the impact of science upon science fiction. Like the discovery of science within that scientific field, following on from, the space race and all that kind of stuff, leading up to Dune. And I've learned from last year that I know I've got a lot of stuff to do, so I've got to try and use that time that I have, months and months and months, to try and get as much done as possible. Like my lecturers have given me a recommendation of about 10 novels to read, or 10 novels that I could read. I've narrowed it down to about 5. I've already read Dune. I'm reading H.G. Wells' Time Machine at the minute, and I've got a couple of others that I need to read. And then I've got loads of, they say we need at least about 20 secondary sources, so that's like textbooks and monographs and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to do. I'm not feeling the stress right now, but I know I will, and that's what I was saying about there's no greater motivator than stress, because that will get it done. Now, some people, can't deal with stress very well, but I think that, if you're one of those people who can, then you can use it in a way. You know that you'll get more stuff done. But if you have something in for 3 days' time, it's a very short turnaround. Okay, you're on it. Your entire mind's focused on it. And hopefully, if you're productive and you can use that time effectively, you'll be able to make the most out of that time and do a good job. I think that that's one of the things that we've been trying to learn to do as well. And like you were saying, we've learned it from university. And I've been trying to put the squeeze on you a little bit when it comes to recording. So when it comes to editing stuff, I've been I've been trying to say, let's get this done by then. If there's a genuine reason that you can't do it, that's fine. I understand, but I've just been saying, let's get it done by then. It's out of the way, and then we're on to the next one. I'm keeping you busy, and I know you're at university, so am I. But it's a case of, if we want to do this, if we want to do sort of like as a more professional thing later on, then we need to understand that 8-hour days is what we should be working, perhaps more if it's a big project. If we're working for ourselves, then we need to make sure that we're putting in the effort ourselves, because there's no one else that's going to be there to pick up the slack when we fail. It's us who needs to get it done. So let's teach ourselves to be able to put that effort in and learn how to manage our time effectively, and like this podcast called Learn to be Productive, so that we can get it done. And obviously we've been having a chat for this podcast, but I think if we are to speak to the audience now, it would be that obviously we've gone on a little bit of a tangent, but hopefully it's sort of a bit of a kicker to try and make you, if you are in a similar position that you want to start doing filmmaking, or you want to start doing a game, for example, maybe, and you're writing a story for a game, or you are just writing a book or a novel or a short story, that's what I'm more into. If that is something that you're interested in doing and you need the motivation for it, just remember, you owe it to yourself. You're the only one who can write the story, or code the game, or do whatever it is on films. I don't know anything about films, but that one, there you go. You're the only one who can do that. So you owe it to yourself. If you want to do a good job, just get off your arse and do it, basically. So I think we're probably about halfway through now. Yeah. Next thing I think we wanted to talk about was what we think would be good tips. So I'll go first, and it's sort of similar in a way to what we were just speaking about, but it's find something that you need to be productive at. and like I've got written down here, it says you can't really be productive when you've only got 2 hours worth of work to do. So I think in general, we're trying to speak to people who are self-employed in higher education with a lot of work to do, or one, using their limited free time and they want to make the most out of it. So 2 hours of intensive doing stuff is great, but at the end of the day, it's 2 hours. A full work day is 8 hours. So it's more sort of, how can you go through what's pretty much misery, but come out at the end of it feeling like you've achieved something. And I think that, actually finding something that you can put the effort in is great. Don't kid yourself and go, oh, this is really difficult. How long have you spent on it? An hour. I mean, it's not that. An hour isn't that long of a time period, really, I think. But if you've got something, it's really difficult, how long have you got to do for it? I've got 10 weeks to get it finished, it's dead intensive. Okay, that's something that you can get invested in and really start to find ways to improve yourself and the way you approach it, I think. I think as well, I've got here, it says, find things to distract yourself in a positive way. So, noises and movement will distract your brain. So listen to music, or if I'm perhaps writing a scene, if I can find ambient music that suits that scene, it occupies parts of my brain that would otherwise be occupied by something that's worse. So, if I'm listening to music, then I'm not going to be watching a video where it makes me want to go and watch the video. There's nothing happening on my other screen that will distract my eyes, so I'm constantly focused on what I'm doing. And even if I've got ambient music on as well, then I'm in the world of what I'm writing. I think that's quite a good tip. I mean, sometimes I listen to educational videos so that I'm able to take in information and try and sort of improve how much I know and inform myself on stuff whilst I'm working. But these can be a little bit distracting sometimes because, like I said, it's something happening on the other screen. You might get too focused on that if it's a funny video especially. And if it is a boring video, that you might not be focused on the actual video, so it's sort of background noise, in which case listen to music and enjoy it. As long as you don't start singing, but I don't sing because I can't.
That's not me.
I'm sure I'd get my family going, just shut up, like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's all about finding a compromise that works for you, that will keep you working, but also perhaps help you learn, and at the very least enjoy some good tunes, but it helps you to ignore those outside distractions that take away from you focusing on the main thing that you're trying to do. So what about you? What would you say is a good tip that you give to help people start off being more productive?
Well, first off, I'll be honest, I actually do what you do personally. When I'm editing a video or something like that, I have to pause the music now and then to maybe listen to your voice, which is essentially the recording. But a lot of the time I either have music in the background or I have something I'm just a little bit either interested in or adjacent to, and it could be the most random thing in the world, right? Like, for instance, I'll put in the background the lore of a game or something. I'm really big into learning the lore of stuff like that, and I'll just put that in the background. Half the time, I won't even take in any of it. I won't even be distracted because a lot of the time I'm listening to your voice, but it's background noise. At the end of the day, it's sort of I don't know what it is, but for me personally, because I'm editing a video, seeing someone's edit and someone editing that video, that's what motivates me to be all right, they sort of incorporate some of this thing, so maybe there's something maybe I can take away from that and improve my video. But then sometimes I sort of mix it up. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of the Risk of Rain soundtrack. It's a game I've been playing recently a lot with my girlfriend, and the soundtrack in that is absolutely. I love the soundtrack. I'm getting off a little bit on a tangent here, but I love the soundtrack in that, and it really sort of motivates me to sort of
if it gets you pumping,
it gets me pumping.
I've been. Some of the scenes I've been writing recently are quite nasty, to be honest, and there's been a lot of fighting. So I've listened to Disturbed's Indestructible album. With these headphones I've got with haptic noise, and you can feel the bass. It's it gets you going and in the mood to do it. If I was listening to sad tunes while somebody's having a fight, it might not quite work. But if there's conflict and argument, then maybe you can't go better than Disturbed. I mean, you can't go better than Disturbed anyway. But the Indestructible albums were top tier. But anyway.
Okay, well, moving on to
Yeah.
maybe something a little bit different to that tip, which I agree works for me. I recommend that for people. And yeah, a lot of people maybe get a little bit too distracted by music, and I can understand that maybe, or like a video or something like that. But I think it's something you should at least try, at least once, because I love it and I do it all the time. The other thing I like to do essentially is if I want to get something done in the day, the night before, I'll think about, okay, what do I need to be done? Okay, this part of the video needs editing, or maybe I need to like. So it doesn't have to be necessarily like creative things. It could be literally anything. Like maybe I need to, I don't know, buy something like for the shop, like shop from the shopping list. Like I forgot something on there, like when I was going shopping, or just anything I'll put on that list, because at the end of the day, it gives me that sort of boost of like I've done something. Anytime I take something off on a list, it gives me that.
Yeah.
You get like that sort of hit, like I've done something. I'm motivated to be moving on the next task, so I can get that whole list done by the time I have to like maybe go to sleep, or I've got free time essentially to do what I want, like do what I want. To be honest, it makes things a lot more organised for me as well. Like I can have my day dedicated to those sort of things, and I can be like, okay, I can then like maybe go into games and not feel like a little bit shit basically, because I've done the things I've done, you know.
Yeah,
I know I've done those things as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was different before. I couldn't have a list because I felt like it was too much pressure. But then what we're talking about, you know, stress is, you know, there's no motivator like stress. If I think, I haven't ticked off that thing, I've got to go do it, and you know, it might be painful. Sometimes, you know, some of the university topics and the lectures got to sit through. I mean, for tomorrow, I've got half an hour lecture that I've watched, and he's given me a 1 hour 40 film, and I've got to read 3 or 4 articles, which are like thousands of words each, and it's difficult stuff to read. I'm like, oh Jesus! But if it's on the list, you know, I feel that, especially if it's in for tomorrow as well, I feel like I've got that pressure to get it done, and then I do get it done. Like before, I hated those tick lists, but now, you know, that sort of feeling that, oh, that's actually everything I wanted to do today done. I can now do something else for fun. You know, we're planning a bit of a Warhammer campaign for, I mean, it'll be in the future, God knows how long, but, you know, I can spend some time doing stuff that isn't necessarily important, but it's something that I enjoy, or I can paint some models, or, you know, I like to write stories about Warhammer, but the chance of me getting it published are, you know, they're really slim. But I have that time to do something for my own enjoyment and write about that, because I know that I've got my word count for, you know, one of the stories that I'm doing at the minute done. I know I've got my university work done. I know I've got the stuff that I wanted to do for Spaghetti Tree done. And, you know, it's just good to get to the bottom of the list and say, right, what do I want to do for fun? And, you know, that's good. And I think going into that is... but that can be quite difficult, I think, sometimes for some people. So overcoming burnout is an issue. And I think one of the things where, you know, overcoming burnout's difficult. So the most important thing to do is to not burn yourself out in the first place. So I've got 2 things to say about this. One is that there's an author called Jerry Jenkins. I think he's written about 200 novels. You've probably heard of him. I hadn't before I found his YouTube channel. I've never read any of his books, so I'm going to give that a go, but I've got plenty to be reading at the minute. But in some of his YouTube videos, he's got he's a very sort of nice guy to listen to, because he's very relatable, and he says that you should just give yourself time in the day to procrastinate. You know, if you're going to do it anyway, if you know that you can't sit down for I don't know how many hours and just crack on with work for the entire time, just give yourself half an hour to watch a video that will sort of turn your brain to mush and reset yourself, or to go downstairs and, I don't know, eat something that's nice and, you know, have a bit of a break, or to just something, you know, break it up in between doing tasks. Read a part of a book that you're doing that isn't necessarily relevant to anything that you're researching or writing at the minute. Just do something to break up and give yourself time and day to procrastinate. And there was another thing, but I'll try and think about it. Why don't you say something whilst I try and remember?
Sort of going on to sort of the talk thing you're talking about, like doing random things. I think for me personally, I don't do it enough. I should probably try and do it a lot more. Is like during those sort of rest periods, sometimes a complete change of scenery can be really good. Like for instance, I'm trying to think now. sometimes, especially when I'm editing videos and I later in the day I have to go out, that when I come back to it, I come back with like a complete refresh mind. Like so there's like I think it's like a 20-minute 20-minute, 30-minute bush drive. But on that bush drive, I'll just to Birmingham basically. I'll sit on the bus, listen to some music, and then I'll come back to the video later in the day, and I'll be like completely rejuvenated. My mind will be fresh. Like during that time where I'm walking, ideas will come to me. It's like, oh yeah, I could use that sort of clip. That could go to there. That's what edit. It's really sort of good way for like helping with burnout. Like breaks are definitely key. For me personally, again, I probably should do it. Like maybe I should probably go to the gym maybe at that time. I do need to start going to the gym. It's sort of a good way to sort of refresh your mind and renew your vigour, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just give yourself a bit of time off is important. And I have remembered the other thing, and I've written about it in one of the articles I've done, and it might be one of the videos I've done. I think it is. I can't remember. I'm sure that I could tell you, and you put it up on the screen now. If not, just watch all of our videos right now, and then you'll see. But it's we'll just sort of keep yourself busy with other things. So Dan Abnett is sort of one of my writing heroes because I love the Eisenhorn series. I think it's great. Gaunt's Ghost is great. Brothers of the Snake book was amazing. But he does comics as well, and he does some. He's caught between several different series for the Warhammer stuff that he does, and he also writes for different comics. I mean, I'm not into comics and superheroes, but I know he does that. And recently he wrote Darktide, the upcoming game for Warhammer 40,000. So he's doing different things, so that he's not keeping himself focused on one thing. He's giving himself different stuff to do throughout the day, so that he doesn't basically get bored of doing one thing, which I think can be quite important as well. So like I was saying, at the minute I'm doing university, I'm doing spaghetti stuff, I'm doing writing, and then in between that, if I've got something else to do, I don't know. I've got to. I know. I painted Ollie's a model for Ollie for his birthday, so I knew I had to do that. Just in between those time periods, now I'm doing something different and breaking up what might otherwise become a monotonous task, because we could. I think most people can't sit down for 4 hours and do the exact same thing over and over and over. Maybe writing, I could do that. I think. Try not to, because I know that I'll probably burn myself out, and the last thing I want to do is write for 4 hours, go away, have a break, then come back and write for another 4 hours. I think I'd struggle, and I don't think I'd be so fresh in my mind when I'm doing stuff. I'm not too sure, but I think giving yourself different, or trying to find different things that you can do, if you have different things that you're able to do and you don't have to focus on one task. If you've got deadlines to finish writing a story, and you have to write it to meet that deadline, then obviously you can't spend time doing something different. But if you can, do different keyword productive things during that time, and just keep your mind ticking over doing something productive, but try and vary it so that you don't get focused on doing one specific thing and burning yourself out with that one thing, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
I think it makes sense.
But yeah, another thing, again, if we're going down the list of things we wanted to speak about, was getting your space organised. You start on this one because you've recently moved into university. You've had, a room which was pretty much empty, and you've got all your stuff. How did you set it up to try and help it become as productive as possible? And if there are things you need to change and things that you've done wrong and perhaps you shouldn't have done, what are they? Tell us about it.
I think, for organising space, I'll be honest, I make sure that I've got all my stuff right in front of me. So if I need to get something, I don't have to walk out my door or have to get up out of my chair. I can just lean to the left and get it. So on my desk, I've got my computers, my 2 monitors. On my desk, I also have my notebook, which I use for just editing. I can write notes in there that'd be really useful, or it's just anything I can write in there. It just means I can get something down if it's in my head, so I don't forget it, or I need to plan something out. It's easy. On top of that, not only on my desk, but I've also got a little. I guess you could argue it's like a drawer, some drawers. It's some drawers. What am I about? And in that drawer, the top drawer, I can literally lean to my right, open that drawer, and I've got a whole list of stuff I can, notebooks, pens, anything. That means I can literally get anything done. I've got my computer, I've got my station, I even got my painting stuff to my right as well, on top of the drawer. I can lean over, grab a towel, grab some paints. I've literally got a sink next to me as well, which helps as well for painting. I've got a sink to my left.
I don't know how many times I've had to go and do painting with something, and it's just, everything's just, the water's stagnant, it's ruined.
Yeah. I can literally just lean over with my cup and just turn on the tap, and I can paint. I've got a mat here already as well. I've got my palette, and I can continue on. I can just continue on where I left off. Like right now, I'm in the middle of coating my towel. I think it's a strike team, dude. Just I got to coat them all in black, and then I can go over the armor palettes and that sort of thing. But I'll have everything in front of me. That means I don't have to get up out of my chair if I do not need to, and that makes things so much easier. It just makes everything. It saves you time.
There's less distraction as well to go and walk into the room and go, oh, hello, let's speak to you for a little bit.
Yeah,
especially considering you're living with your friends as well, which are going to distract you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is actually a good point. I'll be honest, there's been a couple of times where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a cup of tea, or I go into edit, and then I'll just sit in the kitchen for like 5 minutes talking to Oliver about Warhammer. That's happened on more than one occasion, admittedly. But being able to not having to leave my room like I did when I was back when I was living still with my parents, like I'd have to leave my room for certain things, but now I don't have to. I don't even have to get up out of my chair because I've sorted everything out. I've got my drawer, I've got my sink for my painting, which isn't exactly the most important thing, but it's still there and it's helpful. I've got my notebook. I've even got some like USBs here I can quickly pick up if I need to like put something on there. I've got my SD cards. I've even got my DSLR camera right here if I need that, if it comes down to it.
Yeah,
I have everything in such a... It's organised, but it's in a dense space that I don't have to move to get an item. I think, I'll be honest, it's helped me a lot. It has helped me so much in getting stuff done. Like before, I would have to get out of my chair to grab an SD card if I'm like doing some college work back when I was living with my parents. But now, I just have to reach down, grab my SD card, and all my footage is on there.
Yeah,
and it's perfect. And when it comes to editing as well, I don't even have to like... I mean, for editing, I don't even really have to leave my chair. But I don't have to get like a notebook or something. I need to write down ideas. Like for the first video I was editing, I haven't done it for the second one too much because it's the way I was editing it. I think
it's a different sort of style, and I've given you some pointers, haven't I?
Yeah, some more pointers. But for the first one, I had to essentially time code everything that I had ideas for. I went through the whole recording, time code everything. I mean, that was so efficient. I could just open my book, go to a time code, like, all right, this is the thing I need to. Let me search for like footage, or stock footage, or a sound effect, or bam. It made everything so much easier. So I think organising space is definitely up there. I'll be honest. It's just as important as burnout, I'd say. I mean, for me personally,
mine right now isn't great. It's a bit of a mess because I've got some Warhammer stuff all over. I've got a tiny bit left of the Horus Heresy box set to build, so I've still got some models lying around for that and spare bits I need to parcel up and looking about. It's a bit shameful. I need to sort it out. But I do have, quite clear spaces of pens there, books there in sort of, the right piles in like writing books. To my left, I've got like a sort of benchy thing almost with drawers in. It's got a padded bit on the top, but I just use it to put stuff on. That's got all my spaghetti tree stuff over there and sort of, just stuff that I'm also working on that perhaps hasn't got a place on my desk. I've got these little, I don't know what you call them. They're just like little container things that you can put papers in. So I've got one for university stuff, one's got the stuff I'm writing, my stories, and then one's got stuff for spaghetti tree. Don't know why I'm pointing, no one can see. I've got a drawer full of painting, stuff for Warhammer, and I think just one thing I definitely know I need to do is sort my space out so that I'm not as distracted by just stuff. I'm not going, oh, that's a cool model, I like him, I think he's a cool Space Marine. Just make sure I'm not doing that. But getting your space organised and having your own space to sit down in, I think, is important. And I know for some people they won't be able to. I think it was Jerry Jenkins again who in one of his videos said that he started out with like some sort of wooden plank across his knee on a sofa, just to write his stories down on, because he had nowhere else to do it in his house because he didn't have a whole lot of money and a whole lot of room. And so obviously for some people they're not going to be able to do it. I think that the famous case again is who wrote Harry Potter? I've never read it. I've never watched any of the films.
I've read one of
J.K.
the books.
Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
That's
yeah.
it.
I read one of the books when I was very young.
I think it's quite a famous story that she started out writing the first Harry Potter in a cafe when she couldn't find a job or something like that, and she didn't have a whole lot of money. So again, those are just famous stories, but some people won't be able to do it. Is my point that I'm getting at after going on a tangent. But if you can, try and make your space your own and organise, and don't get distracted by stuff, and a nice, pleasant place where you want to work. If your office, if you worked in an office and it was filled with mould and it was damp and it was noisy and it was not good equipment, which is the next thing, nice little segue. But if it was not good stuff, then you wouldn't want to work there. So if you're at home and you can adjust it, if you've got that ability, then try and make it a pleasant place to work. I think that's what I'd say. Try and keep it organised as well, just like Sam was saying. Just keep it, just so you can access stuff easy. You know where it is. You don't waste time trying to find stuff. Now, segue, get the right equipment. I think that's quite self-explanatory, really. That just find the equipment that makes you want to work, and equipment that you'll enjoy using. Now, I'm a bit weird. I can't move on to a new pen until I've finished the last one. And I've recently been up into the loft and found about 7 pencils that I now have to use before I can move on to my nice Parker pen, which is really weird, and I can't explain it. And I've got literally everything that I'm writing in, or a lot of it, is like old workbooks from secondary school that I've ripped out the pages that I used, and now I've got 3-line page. It's really strange. It's a bit sort of dirty and scratty, but I suppose it's only like the first draft that I'm writing down on pen to paper. But in a way, though, I enjoy using that because I feel a sense of achievement, and that it's really weird. It's really weird. I like recycling in a way, so using that stuff which otherwise wouldn't have had a purpose, would have gone in the bin, or I've repurposed, I've used for writing. It's now got something hopefully good contained within it, and it's sort of surplus stuff that I've put to use in another way, which I find in a really weird way fulfilling. But I do have some things right at the bottom of the pile that I'll probably never get to, which are nice proper books that I've bought later on down the line for other stuff that isn't directly related to writing. If it's university stuff, which I know I'm going to be using a lot and I need a nice book, I'll buy. I've got the brand's like NU, and it's a stone book which is made out of stone paper, which
NU, I'll be honest, sorry to put you off. My obviously sort of backing that up, to be honest. I can't have to use like notebooks I think look really nice or I really like. And NU, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I had this really nice NU book I used for college, and I just write in that shit for days. Like, I love having a nice looking notebook. So that's a big for me, and that actually, I'll be honest, that actually makes me work. And it sounds weird, much like what you've been saying, but like if I have recently I actually bought a book from where was it?
It's just opposite ends of the spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of opposite. You like to recycle and make sure everything's used. It has to be a nice looking book, or at least something I have to be attached to in order for me to want to write in it. For instance, I did have it's sort of a good point, and admittedly, you're probably going to hate me for this. I had a school book that was completely fresh, like I hadn't even written it.
Yeah.
And I was going to use it to write in scripts, but I just didn't like it because I didn't like school books. I just didn't like the way it worked, and it smelled a bit funny as well, to be honest.
Which school books always smelled of fish, I thought.
Yes, that's exactly the smell.
Just a little bit slightly fishy.
I know, it was something a bit off about it, but like the green book, I wrote like in it once because I was like trying to force myself into write, but I never wrote in it again.
Wait. Was it bright green, like a big A4 bright green book?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I gave you that. Can I admit this? I put about 35 into my bag and walked out one day.
Well, I mean, it's long, isn't it? But I mean, okay, let's be honest here. The school that you stole it from is not going to do anything. The place is being demolished.
Whoa! Don't use the word stole. I didn't use the word stole.
No. Borrow. Sorry.
Yeah.
Borrow.
That's it. Yeah, I'm repurposing something like that.
In all fairness, it is for greater good. It is for the greater good.
Shall we move? What other than children's works that will help them set them up for life? I don't know. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah, we should move on.
Yeah. But yeah, I suppose it's opposite ends of the spectrum, like we were saying. So, I like to use repurposed stuff, but I do have nice books. Like the new one is stone paper, which is weird because it says it's good for the environment, but you can't recycle stone paper because it's actually a product of plastic. I googled it, which isn't great, but it's nice. The pages feel weird. It's like sort of, I don't know what it's like. It's like a strange rubbery sort of texture.
Stone paper.
Stone paper.
I think I've heard you mention this before, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, yeah. But that's a nice book that I use for other stuff because I know I'm going to be using it a lot. So just find stuff that makes you want to use it. That you enjoy using. Like pens is a big thing. Like if we're writing a lot, I love a good Parker pen. Can't go wrong with that. I'm not sponsored. Please sponsor me. We could use that.
Why would you want that as your first sponsor?
Parker. What do you mean? What,
I don't know. I feel like.
What, do you think we should have Raid Shadow Legends as our first sponsor?
You're damn right I do. You're damn right I do. I play Raid Shadow Legends. No, I don't.
I've never played it. Although apparently it's supposed to be quite good, but I haven't ever played it, and I don't know if I will. I don't have the time.
I'm not. I don't have. I don't know what it is. I love games, but mobile games I'll play for a bit, and then I just won't ever touch it again.
Yeah, because I know I've got so much better on my computer. Why would I spend time on my phone?
It's like for a while I played a bunch of Clash of Clans, and then I just stopped playing it. And then my thought process was, why would I play Clash of Clans when I could be playing something 10 times better on my computer?
But you can get it on your computer, Clash of Clans, I think, maybe?
I don't
maybe,
know if through
probably.
normal means you could, but using something like BlueStacks, my inner nerd's coming out, something like BlueStacks, which essentially like it emulates like an Android phone, and you can sign in and stuff and have your account.
I'm sure. I think we're a bit off topic. I think we've got a couple more things to talk about. So the last one would be the right mindset. Oh yeah, sorry, I've just googled it. No, you can't get Clash of Clans on your computer. Anyway, no. Right mindset. Spoken about this a lot in my articles. Say articles. Sort of the way I do it is I write an article for the website, which I don't think many people will look at, but then we turn that into a script. So
we should worry note that website might not even be up at this point.
I don't know. Anyway, moving on from that bit, we had to cut out because I said something stupid. Yeah, getting into the right mindset is very important. I've said this a lot in the videos, in the articles. You need to think about. I've said it. Think about the benefit and good that will come down from knuckling down and getting it on with it will do you. I think that's quite obvious, really. But think, if you, like I say a lot, me and Sam, if we really, really love what we're doing, okay? So that is our motivation, and we might not be in the perfect mindset, but we're getting there. So we're in the right mindset to knuckle down and get on with stuff. Now, I love music. I tried to play the guitar once a little bit. I've been thinking about playing it again. However, with the amount of time I've got and with the amount of mindset, the more I looked into it, the more I think I don't actually think I could do that. I don't know enough about musical theory. So it's sort of understanding that, if you really, really love something, like we really, really love filmmaking and writing books and stories, if you really love something, you need to be able to sort of get on and do it. If you want to be a full-time author, you have to be able to shut up and sit down and write for hours on end. And if you can't do that, are you sure being a full-time author is for you? Now that sounds really harsh, I think, and I don't want to be making people not want to do what they love. But I think that, there's a clear line between sort of trying to do something and doing it well and sort of half-arsing it, essentially, and saying you want to do something but not actually showing with your sort of what you actually do is matching up with what you say. And that sounds really harsh. I think that I don't want to push people away from doing what they enjoy, like I said, but if you cannot do something that you proclaim to love, are you sure you actually want to do that for a living? Now, if you're not sure, I think, of course, you just need to give it some more time. I was in a similar position. I think I was struggling to write and get myself doing it, but then I thought, I think with me mainly it was doubt, and we should have a video coming up soon, hopefully, about, or if it might be out already. I don't know what our schedule is. Just about how to use. No. But about just how to use doubt to improve your own writing, and that was my issue personally, and I think that's quite an important thing to recognise, that just sit down and think, okay, is this something I genuinely want to devote my entire life to, or devote a considerable amount of my time to? Because if it's something that you need to be sure that you are willing and capable to do. And again, it sounds harsh. I don't mean for it to dissuade anybody from doing it. It's great. I think the more people who make films that influence culture, and books that people read and enjoy, and it influences how people think and all that kind of stuff. I think that's great. We need more of. Well, we don't need more of it. The world doesn't need more writers and filmmakers, right? Because it needs more doctors and all that kind of stuff. But it does help contribute to the sort of culture that our society is in. And I think that's important to, keep it flowing, keep it fresh, to make sure that people enjoy their time. Well, it's not needed. It's, something that's very much desired. And luckily, you're probably listening from a country like the US, the UK, where we're from, Australia, somewhere in Europe where you're fairly, well off compared to other places in the world. We're in a fortunate position where we can try and get that in society. So I think it's great that people do that, but I think it's also important that people sort of consider the fact that if they genuinely cannot sit down and do something that they think they love, then maybe it isn't for them. Now, before I get too depressing, have you got anything that you want to talk about getting into the right mindset before I make people click away from the video?
I think, the guitar point you made, I think I actually very much relate to that, because I don't know if you remember, but for a time I wanted to do game development. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest.
Yeah, you made games on Scratch, and we'd sit down and lunch, and I'd go on the Macs and use, I don't even know what it's called, like this free music creation software,
like
and I think, yeah, something like that, and I think, I'm making a soundtrack for a game. It's like my mates are just behind me messing around on Scratch. Like, you've made Sonic run really quick. This is how far into the game we've got.
In all fairness, we were like year 7, year 8. So,
but what was that called though? Because you actually had some good ideas. We need to speak about that, because there was like some bits where someone was going to fight in a town or something like that, and I can't remember anything other than that. I just thought it was like a fantasy sort of thing, wasn't it?
Tales of a Vanguard.
Tales of a Vanguard. That, like, grammatically doesn't make any sense, really, I don't think.
I don't know, I was in year 8. Leave me alone.
No, but it sounds cool. Maybe we'll do something with that. Anyway, sorry. Make your game development. I'm going to write that down. We should
look at that maybe in a future thing. Yeah. No, but like, you were saying obviously that like you were interested in guitar, but then you sort of really thought about it and it wasn't something you maybe wanted to do. It's still something I'm slightly interested in, but looking at it from then as a kid, obviously I thought I'm not going to be able to do something. I had a little bit of doubt and I didn't think I'd be able to do it. But looking back on it now, I think not only was it the right decision, but hopefully I better put myself in a position where I can at least experiment with it. Yeah. Right? Like, game development wasn't for me. Filmmaking is where it's where I am. It's what I want to do. But if I can maybe in the future do something, it doesn't. Honestly, I'd be happy to not do anything. If nothing comes of it, that's fine. But like, it wasn't something for me. I'm gonna be honest. I thought about it. I obviously I didn't have that motivational that I do now for like filmmaking. So I think what you said is really important. It's something I very much relate to. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think one has hard truths, but again, we all have to consider that we don't. As much as we'd love to do everything in the world, we're only here for a limited amount of time. I'd love to learn guitar. I'd also love to learn drums. I'd love to learn to draw, even though I don't think I ever could. It's not something that would ever be I'd ever be able to be taught. I'd love to play more games. I'd love to perhaps make a game, but I don't have the time for it. maybe one day later on when we're doing, if Spaghetti Tree does become a big thing, we'll be able to have something to do with games, and maybe I'll have the time to pick up a guitar. But, as of right now, I just have to come to terms with, I am not Superman. I cannot do everything. If I am going to enjoy the time that I have, I'm going to make sure it's doing the number one thing that I enjoy, rather than being mediocre at, however 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many things, but being mediocre at it, wishing, I wish I could do this better, but I don't have the time for it. We all have one thing I think that we exceed in. Now, I'm not saying, I'm going to be the next Stephen King. I don't think I will. In fact, I know I won't. But writing's something that I enjoy. And it's something that I know it's probably the thing I'm best at right now. Now, if you read one of my things later on and you think it's crap, then you know that I'm full of shit. I'm good for nothing. Right? But yeah, I think writing is something that I'm good at, or hopefully good at. It's certainly better than maths, like I said. I got my mate to cheat on all those online forms that we had to put in for me. So find the one thing that you're good at and try and focus on it. Don't sort of, I think lots of people dilly-dally around trying to try lots of different things, and that's great, but, if there is something you genuinely exceed at and you think that you can really put some effort into, if you found your calling, don't try and throw it away in the pursuit of trying to do something which you're not really that into in the end, if that makes sense. It's got a bit miserable, really, but I think it's one of the things that people need to sort of try and just understand.
Understand and come to grasp with. Right? I think it is very important.
You can't do everything. It's a shame. I wish I lived for a million years and I could do everything ever, but I won't. So
I don't know why. It's probably very. I mean, it sort of links to this, but at the same time, it really doesn't. But I just got, for some reason, the quote. I don't know why I keep calling it quotes today or some shit like that. But the master of all is a master of none. Like, what is it? Jack
I don't know who said that. Something like that, yeah. But
yeah, I think it's a certain person said that. I think it's just like I don't know.
It's probably one of these ancient sayings that goes back to like Greece or maybe that it was somebody who did it a couple of years ago. I don't know. We don't really talk about here, but
no,
yeah. So, but yeah, the master of all is a master of none. Some you know what we're trying to say.
Yeah, you were trying to say.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Last thing as well. You've already spoken about it a little bit, but university. I meant to ask you this earlier. You were saying about how you've done some stuff at university, and we spoke about it privately a couple of nights ago. But you were saying how now you're there, it's been a bit of a kick up the arse, a bit of a wake up call.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to speak about that a little bit? I can't relate to it because my course isn't anything to do with writing really. I've only been able to pick some topics to do about writing, doing about the history of stuff. But yours is filmmaking or something similar. I don't know what the actual title is. Is it just filmmaking that you're doing?
It's filmmaking.
So tell me about how doing filmmaking at university has been a bit of a wake-up call and a kick up the arse to really make you want to get going and do more in the world of actual filmmaking.
Okay, so I should probably... You need a little bit of background. So I've spoke about already. I was at college before, and I did a filmmaking course. It was a film and TV studies course. It was like equivalent of 2 A levels or whatever.
What did you do before?
I did digital art.
Digital art. What would that have been? Like,
you're asking too much of me, mate. I don't even remember. Okay. I'm going to be honest. That feels really bad. That was like, it's probably bad that this happened, but that was basically a waste of my. No, I wouldn't say complete waste, but like for the course I was on, I got nothing from it. I I know I should use Illustrator and that's it. That's pretty.
What are those online images where it was like people selling them for so much? I can't remember what the name of them now is.
Oh, NFTs.
Yeah, would you have made them become a millionaire? You could have been a millionaire by now. You wasted your life, mate. Forget it.
Forget it. I'm going to be honest. This obviously, I'm putting my stance here already on sort of NFTs. I hate NFTs and anything to do with NFTs. I don't care. Like, fuck you. Literally, NFTs are disgusting. I would never do anything with these.
What was that game that tried to get a bit off topic again? Sorry, but what was that game that tried to do NFTs as a part of it? It was like a big game and people were enjoying it, and then NFTs was part of marketing. I can't remember what it was now. Was it? It wasn't Cyberpunk, was it?
No, no, definitely not Cyberpunk. CD Projekt Red did it. That I think CD Projekt Red have a strong stance against NFTs, if I remember correctly.
It's one of these upcoming games that people thought, yeah, this might be. I'll try and find. I think there was a guy, Yong Ye. I probably says his name very, very wrong. I think he did a video on it, but he does like 3 videos a day, so I don't think I'll be able to find it. If you've got any ideas, leave it in the comments.
Yeah, leave in the comments. I'll be honest, Sam. That sounds like most NFT games I've ever heard of, or like most games nowadays, where because okay, we're getting really off topic, but most game companies are now becoming so greedy that they're like putting NFTs in. There's only a couple.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, based Minecraft hate NFTs. Minecraft is based. Putting it out there. We love Minecraft, but no, I hate NFTs, and there's so many stories of that we could literally do. You could do hours upon hours of stuff on NFTs and how horrible NFTs are and why they're just, and how many companies have like. A good example of this is fucking Poppy. I know it's really weird. Poppy's Playtime, right? So
I think it was that. Yeah,
you think it was
that.
It was
Yeah, I remember now. It was Poppy's Playtime because they had lots of all of the different monstery things.
Yeah, had them with cards, and there was
then,
like lore.
Yeah, you could only learn the lore if you spent fuck knows how much on these, and that was it. Yeah,
they're like
Big
little card
brain.
things.
Yeah.
So yeah, and funny enough, there was like some Chad dude that bought all of them and then just like revealed them to everyone because he was like, "What's the actual point? What a lad! Honestly, what a lad!" Yeah, they got into so much fire under that. Okay, now get back on topic.
Yeah,
right.
Sorry.
I was doing a digital art course. Wasted my time there. Obviously there was a reason because I didn't have the qualifications to get onto my actual course that I wanted to. But eventually I did get them, and I moved on to film and TV. Now in film and TV, we come from a very small sort of place. Let's be honest here. We're not coming from anywhere. It's very rural. It's nothing like London or anything like that.
Not a big city or anything.
So the course was very limiting, and I was working with people that I'm going to be honest, I don't think ever worked in the industry. Actually, I think one person worked in the industry and then he left in my first year. Okay, and even then he didn't even work in anything proper. He was doing music videos at most. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but they were very small scale music videos. They weren't anything too big.
It's sort of like we were speaking about it the other night. You know, your science teacher at secondary school,
Yeah.
or high school if you're American, they probably don't have a whole lot of actual expertise in the scientific field. So I think it's just a similar thing where you were taking advice and learning how to do stuff from people who had never done it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So, apart from maybe John, which was, I'm not going to say his full name. I don't even know his full name. I don't know about. Anyway, John, you can't really find much out about John. John was the only person that was remotely in the film industry, and the two teachers I did have, they weren't in the film industry, and I was learning off them, right? And I was doing stuff on a course that was set and whatnot. Anyway, my point being is that I wasn't working with people in the industry. Cut to now in university, where I have gone literally up in the world by a million, like loads, right? Because one of my lecturers works with the BFI. He's got a project that has now been greenlit by the BFI and is getting funding and everything. Quite a big project, right? In comparison from like small town boy to now working with a big like British film company, right? Like they're a charity that funds a bunch of stuff, loads of stuff. They're massive in Britain, right? And he had a proof of concept, which is like a 12-minute short film, and then now he's full on. I think he said it's been greenlit and he's in development at the moment, and he's a big dude. And that's not even that. Every single one of my lecturers, I mean, I think he's the biggest one that I can think of. To be honest, not of them have specified what they've done, but I know for a fact that all of them, because it was like one of the selling points of the uni I went to, was that all of them are part of the industry. All of them are currently working in the industry. So my production design lecturer, he's in the industry. He's doing some production design probably on the side. I know for a fact that my camera, light and sound lecturer, He's literally working with a company right now. He's done a bunch of documentaries. He's mentioned it. I think he was working with ITV at one point. The perspective of not going from working with people that didn't do anything in this, or at least they learned. They probably did the same course as me at uni, right? but they're not in the industry. They haven't done much in the industry enough to be like they can handle actual experience. So it's a massive kick up the arse to then be like, come from small town boy who just came off a course, right, to coming into an actual like proper city where there's an actual industry behind it. There are studios being set up there. There's bloody like lecturers actually part of the industry. It puts everything into perspective and made me realise, okay, where I'm at right now, it's not good enough. I need to be better. I need to put myself through. I need to take in everything these people are saying. I need to take up every little bit. I need to literally hoover up every single information. I need to be the ultimate sponge I can be, because these 3 years that I'm going to have, they're probably the most important filmmaking years for me. Like, I keep burping. I'm sorry. Keep developing my skills to become the filmmaker I want to be, become the director or the writer, because I'll be honest here, I am looking at a couple of avenues. I could potentially not even be a director in the future. I really hope so, by the way. That's like my end goal, to be a director. But these people are so important. Not only that, the lecturer that I'm on about is obviously he's a director himself, so there's a lot of stuff I can take off of him. Right, there's a lot of things I can take off of him. So it's a massive kick away arse. It's right. I'll be honest. The first day I came back from like those 2 days that I had for my first week, and I'd come back on the Wednesday, I was full of adrenaline. Like, it just randomly hit me.
You were speaking to me, weren't you?
I was speaking to you. I was hit with adrenaline. I was like in like a state of like, I think my body was in you could argue a state of panic, but at the same time as a state of excitement, and then also like, I think that's a pretty good way of saying it, actually. A state of panic and excitement where I was like, they were clashing with each other, but my body was like becoming more focused, like it was becoming more balanced as I was talking and realising these sort of things.
The way you spoke to me about it was, it seemed that it's come closer in a way, in the way that before, you're saying you're sort of small town, village, whatever, going to college, doing a course on it with people who haven't really had much experience, no offence, but they haven't. Now going to a relatively big university, learning with people who are in the field, in that certain field, doing what you want to do, has brought it closer. You're not that distant now from actually, hopefully, doing what you want to do. I think because you're closer to those people who are actually living the life that you want to live, and it's brought it closer to home that you can do it. You know what I mean? Like, you're so close to it, and just if you put in the effort, and like I said, it's been a kick up the arse for you to put in the effort. I have definitely seen an increase with how much you've sort of the rate you've edited videos and the quality of doing it as well. It's definitely one of those things where it's really been good for you to come closer to the life that you've always dreamed about and realise actually all it requires is some effort and to put the passion in. I think that's why, on our Skittery website, our sort of motto that we're working with at the minute is narrative with passion, because we want to tell the narratives, and it's not just a story, it's more than that. It's got its own world, it's a full narrative, and from our perspectives, we just want to put the passion in that we've had for so long, but perhaps haven't known how to sort of implement it correctly until I've started writing more and doing some proper research and come to university and figured out, that just learnt some things about life in general, I think. And then you've gone to, college, and then we were speaking about it really. We started doing some spaghetti tree stuff whilst you were still in college. But then it was only once you were at university that a real passion ignited. And I think, it's a nice little sort of motto we've got, because that's where our love for what we're doing comes from. It's just passion and love for what we want to do and what we try to do. So I think that's a nice little place to wrap up. We've been going 25 minutes longer than we wanted, unless you've got anything extra to say.
I have got one thing to say.
Nice.
To sort of put into perspective what I mean, there was an opportunity that was given to me on my first week, right? This is my first week. I unfortunately didn't get to do it because I couldn't get a bus that early to go into Birmingham, right? I just doxed myself twice. I already said that before.
I know. I'm going to say, should we bleep that out? Bleep that where you came from.
I'll bleep it out. So the opportunity I got, and essentially this opportunity was, they said, write your name down, give, like, essentially let us know that you're coming on this early, like, really, I think it was like, you had to be there by like 5 in the morning or some shit like that, right?
5? I didn't hear about that. Jesus Christ.
But the opportunity was, which I'm good. I didn't get to do it in the end, but it is what it is, right? They allowed us to be extras on a set of a BBC drama.
That would have been cool.
It was getting filmed in like I'm not going to
in the middle of the city that's been bleeped out twice.
Yeah, in the middle of the city, it'd been filmed there, and it was a drama. It was like, actually, I don't even think it was filmed there. I think it was like a coach. I can't remember now, actually, but we essentially got allowed to be extras on a set of a drama, which is really big because it was BBC. It was BBC, which is massive. I know it's obviously not as big as in the USA, but I'm
trying not to make a joke there, but you know.
Yeah. It's massive in Britain. Okay, shut up. Right, shut up.
I'm sure it is.
But like that's a big, massive. Oh, fuck's sake! I can't. There's no word to describe it.
Just get away from the cocks.
Yeah. Okay. I can't even like. I don't know how to like. What word can I use?
The British. What is it?
British.
I don't know.
British Broadcasting.
British Broadcasting Channel. Is it? Is it channel? Company.
No, I don't think so. Hold on.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
That collection of letters which shall not be named is
British Broadcasting Corporation. There you go.
There you go. It's very influential within our country.
Yeah,
there we go.
Very influential.
It's good to be involved in it for somebody who is up and coming. That's one way to put it without laughing and giggling like 7-year-olds.
The one thing they let us know that how important it was because if I can put down that I've worked on a set, that is a potential open door. Right, that is immediately an open door. If I put that on my CV and I go, "Oh yeah, can I be a runner on the set? I've got experience on the set. I've seen what you guys do. I know what to do. You know, I can be a runner, maybe. Right? I can get you guys your tea and stuff like that. That is exactly what you want because if you're a director going in as a runner and if you keep at it and going on these sets and constantly going on these sets, they said if you can get your foot in the door there, you can only go up from there. You can literally only go up from there. Because it's like, because once you do that and maybe you're like, on the set, you've got someone a tea, and then maybe you give a recommendation to like one of the things, maybe you could do that, try that. That person is going to remember that. Oh yeah, that runner, he said something that was quite good, you know, like he had some good ideas. Oh, maybe I should be like, maybe I could ask him about it, like ask him what he sort of does, what he wants to do, and then they can recommend us to other people, and maybe that's job roles open. And if you could show off your portfolio during that time, maybe you can like get an opportunity to talk to one of like, I don't know, a producer or someone maybe even a little bit lower than that, probably very much lower than that. Those are open doors. That's networking 101, right? That's what you want. Unfortunately, with the film industry, it's not what you can do, it's who you know. Unfortunately, you need to have like the skills to back it up, but you need to know people.
Yeah.
And right now, like my university, to be honest, they've spoken about so many opportunities they've got for me. And the fact that they've got relations to not only the BBC, because that was like 40 people on a set for extras, right? That was pretty cool, right? It's a pretty cool opportunity. That's a connection. I can talk to universities like, okay, you've got these connections. Could I potentially maybe give an opportunity? My lecturer, I could talk to him and maybe I impress him in some way, and he could talk to the right people and get me the right. These are all opportunities, and for all I know, in my second year, I could potentially be a runner on a set. Like that could actually be a genuine, or maybe even my first year, that could be a genuine thing that could happen. And that, if I can get that, I'm going to be going only up from there. Like only up from there. It's just insane to think about that. Essentially, right now, I'm in the industry. Like if you actually think about it, I could literally be in the industry at any moment, at any time. That's insane to think. I've gone from dreaming about the industry to now actually probably being in the industry in like a span of a year. Not even that, a couple months.
Yeah.
Like a 3 months, and it's like really been a massive. I need to up my game. I need to be able to compete with all these people. You know, I'm already in the industry. I'm already like cutthroat industry. So it's like it's intimidating, but it's exciting at the same time. It's really exhilarating. So
I mean,
that I hope sort of put in perspective why I feel so like crazy about this, like excited, exhilarated, whatever. Like, why I feel the need to be more productive.
I feel like it's a shame for me in a way because so my university course isn't on that, so I don't sort of get to live that life, which is, you know, I do find it a little bit disappointing. I sort of wish that I could swap my course a little bit, but I'm already a year and a bit into it now, and I'm enjoying the course I'm doing, but you know, it's just different situations. But you know, I'm doing my writing, and like, I suppose maybe we'll explain it better in another one. But the one that I'm currently properly working on, at the minute, it's called The Tale of Eternity, and I hope it stays, you know, a name like that, because I think that's a cool name, and it's like the first line in it, pretty much. But like, I'm 40,000 words into it. Do you know what I mean? It's exciting to see so many different characters that I've been spending so much time with come to fruition, and it's difficult, I suppose, because writing, as far as I'm aware, really is much more of a solitary profession. Is profession the right word? I don't know. Much more of a solitary job to be doing.
Yeah.
Whereas filmmaking, you're networking and working with all these different kinds of people. But for the most part, I'm sat in my room writing. But I think it's just different sort of fields. But you know, I think that once I do finish it, which hopefully shouldn't be too long. I mean, I'm 40,000 words into it. I reckon I'll finish about 90. For a fantasy novel, I suppose that's quite short. But you know, I don't want to overfill it with other stuff, and there's no need to drag it on longer than it needs to. But hopefully, you know, I'll get that done, and once I start speaking to agents and publishers and all that kind of stuff, that'll be my sort of new wake-up call. But I suppose as well, with Spaghetti Tree as well, it's exciting as well, because you're coming to me with all the stuff that you've learned and all the stuff that you're excited about. And actually sort of seeing it come to fruition, and you know, seeing articles be written, turned into scripts, be recorded, turned into videos, seeing the videos and having them uploaded. You know, by the point time this goes out, we should have at least one, maybe two videos uploaded. I think this will go out before the third video, probably. Hopefully, yeah, because this won't require that much editing, so it'll be fairly easy to sort of upload and cut out the bits where we've doxed ourselves.
Yeah, I've made my fucking job harder for myself.
But yeah, it's just exciting to see the stuff that we're passionate about come to fruition. So, and like I'm saying before, I want to end on this point because I'm stubborn, and I said, you know, we'll end on it. It is all about telling a narrative with passion, and the love that we have for doing it, and telling stories and experiencing other people's stories. That's what it's about, really. Making money from it would be cool, but even if it doesn't last that very long and it's just until we finish university, I think saying that we tried is good enough for me. So, and I think on that note we'll finish, because we're on 1 hour 30 something right now. It'll be different when we cut out all the stuff. I think we've gone over a little bit.
It'll be at least an hour. An hour 10 minutes.
No, I don't think we're going to cut out 20 minutes worth of stuff. We'll probably cut out the stuff we're waffling about now.
No,
I don't know.
Keep that in.
Maybe, no, keep it in, yeah.
Right, makes it authentic.
But yeah, so it's longer than we probably expected, but we didn't actually plan an outro. I've been Sam.
No,
this has also been Sam. I've been Mango. Fine. I've been Mango. That's my online name, I suppose. You have been
Flub. It's me.
I don't know where Flub came from. That's a story for another time. Save it.
Okay,
it's content. It's content. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you have watched, I don't know how many people watch this. Hopefully a few. If not, then if there is only a few people watching it, then thanks for sticking around. Especially if you made it this far, leave a thumbs up in the comments. Smack that like button. I can't say that.
Leave a thumbs up in the comments.
Yeah, you do a little emoji now, can't you?
What? Why would you want our viewers to do that?
Because it's cool and quirky and it helps YouTube.
No. Right, boys, listen to me. If you're going to put something in the comments, put the Moye emoji. You know the little like Easter egg island head? Put that in the comments. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Moye.
That. Right, okay. So yeah, genuinely, please, thanks for watching or listening. Please, if you enjoyed it, leave us a like and whatever. Subscribe for more sort of. This is much more informal than what the normal videos that we do, I suppose. But if you want to see more, leave us some feedback and whatever. We appreciate it. We are a very small channel, as in probably no subscribers at this point, and no views. So we want to grow. So thank you, and I suppose that's it.